All right, let's talk about cricket, but not the game you think you know. We're going to go way beyond the clean white uniforms and the polite applause. We're digging into the hidden history, the story behind the so-called gentleman's game that is rarely, if ever, told. And this quote right here, it absolutely nails it. See, you've got the official story everyone likes to tell, and then you have the truth. And let me tell you, the truth is messy, it's political, and it's way more interesting. So that's the big question, isn't it? What's really going on here? We're about to peel back all those layers of power, money, and flat-out rebellion that have shaped this sport for hundreds of years. Okay, so our first stop, it's not some sunny village green in England. No, we're going straight to the heart of the British Empire, where cricket wasn't just a fun pastime, it was designed with a very specific purpose in mind. Just think about that for a second. A weapon. The British didn't just casually spread the game around, they deployed it. It was this brilliant tool of soft power, used to export British ideals and, establish who was at the top of the food chain in their colonies. And this is where it gets really clever. They used it as a class filter. So in places like India or South Africa, it wasn't for everybody. At first, only the local elites, the ones the British wanted to influence, were invited to play. This created a really clear line in the sand. If you played cricket, you were in with the people in power. It was literally social engineering dressed up as a sport. The whole strategy was crystal clear. First, you instill British values of fair play. Then, you create this sense of loyalty to the crown. And maybe most importantly, you use it to drive a wedge between the elites and everybody else. It was a masterclass in control. But, and this is where the story gets really good, the very weapon they designed for control, well, it got picked up by the people who were being colonized, and they learned to use it even better than their so-called masters. You can see the whole power dynamic start to flip right here on this timeline. It started small, with Indian teams like the Parsis actually beating the British at their own game. Then, after independence in 47, it became a massive source of national pride. But the real earthquake? That was 1983. When underdog India went to England and won the World Cup, nobody saw it coming. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? Beating your former colonial rulers on the world's biggest stage. That was a huge deal. It wasn't about the points on the board. It was a nation basically shouting that the old power dynamic was dead and gone. But just as the game was finding its new identity, a whole different kind of rot started to set in. That clean, gentlemanly image, it was about to get completely shattered by scandals that exposed a really dark, greedy side to the sport. The year 2000. If you follow cricket, you know this year. It's infamous. This is when the mask was ripped off, exposing this massive web of match fixing and illegal betting that went all the way to some of the game's biggest stars. So when the South African captain, Hansi Cronje, actually confessed, wow, it sent shockwaves everywhere. But here's the kicker. This wasn't the start of the problem. Nope. It was just the first time we, the public, got a peek at how deep the corruption really went. So while the sport is dealing with that crisis, a whole new revolution is starting. The Indian Premier League, the IPL, launches in 2008. And it didn't just change the money in the game, it completely rewired what it meant to be a professional cricketer. And right away, it created this massive conflict. For 100 years, the absolute pinnacle, the highest honor, was to play for your country. But suddenly, these private franchises are offering multi-million-dollar contracts, just life-changing money. The whole question of loyalty gets messy. Is it about pride for your nation, or is it a business deal? The IPL made every player pick a side. And speaking of business, the financial center of gravity in cricket, it's not in England anymore, not even close. It's India. The Board of Control for Cricket in India, the BCCI, generates an insane amount of money, which gives it enormous power over everything, from global schedules to the rules of the game. Let's put it this way. If the BCCI isn't happy, world cricket has a very big problem. So what about the actual players in the middle of this multi-billion-dollar circus? Well, for them, all that fame and all that fortune, it comes at a really steep price, one that's often paid in silence. You have to understand, in a place like India, the top cricketers aren't just famous athletes, they are gods. They're on every billboard, in every commercial. 1 billion people are hanging on their every move. But here's the thing, that worship can be brutal. It comes with this crushing weight of expectation. One bad game, one dropped catch, and those same heroes are torn to shreds online by trolls and a public that demands perfection. That love can turn to pure venom in a heartbeat. All this pressure cooks up a crisis that nobody really wants to talk about. You've got the endless travel, the intense public scrutiny. It's a perfect storm for burnout and serious mental health issues. But the system? It's built to reward winning, not to protect the well-being of the players. And this constant demand for more entertainment, more action, is actually changing the DNA of the game itself. The T20 format, short, explosive, made for TV, is just taking over. It's fast money, it's high entertainment, and it's slowly but surely pushing the traditional 5-day test match, the purest form of the game, to the side.
So, after all that, after looking at the colonialism, the rebellion, the corruption, the money, what are we actually left with? What is cricket really, when you get right down to it?
Well, it's all of these things, all at once. It's a game still haunted by its imperial past. It's a massive global business. It's absolutely a political tool. And for the men and women on the field, it's a brutal, psychological battlefield. We always hear people talk about the spirit of crickets, this ideal of fair play and sportsmanship. But this quote from our source material is just so sharp, so real. In today's world of high stakes and big money, that spirit often feels less like a rule and more like a marketing slogan you pull out when it's convenient. So, we'll just leave you with this one question. The next time you turn on a match, are you just going to see a simple game of bat and ball? Or are you going to see the hidden history, the power plays, and the very real human costs behind every single run?